Hello and welcome. We, the Roots Party, would like to make a statement on recent events within Great Britain, particularly on British actions against the members of the band Kneecap, British actions against women who have suffered miscarriages, and other slides towards fascism. We, the Roots Party and Movement, unreservedly condemn the British Labour Party, Kier Starmer and the British Government for both a long litany of past offences, but in this moment, 22nd of May 2025, in light of their moves to essentially criminalise miscarriage, try performers on terrorism charges for expressing their free speech and resistance to genocide, moves against the immigrants they displaced from their homelands via hundreds of years of British foreign economic, military and trade policy in the first place, against trans people, their abuse of their own poor, working class, elderly and disabled, the constant curtailment of civil liberties and plainly fascist rhetoric. We would like to 1. Declare the UK no longer to be a free democracy. The democratic backsliding of Britain is long recognised domestically and to some degree internationally. Curtailment of the rights of protest, of free press and free speech have solidified the descent into authoritarianism, undermining of the democratic rights and freedoms of the British people. It has never been a constitutional democracy anyway, as they do not have the protection of a constitution. The erosion of their rights and civil liberties has been going on for decades. 2. Condemn the actions of the British government unreservedly in their race to utter authoritarianism. Condemn the Labour Party and rally the actual left in condemnation and complete excommunication of the British Labour Party from the left internationally, and hopefully those within Britain will follow. In perpetuity until such time as the current regime has been removed and they return to their origins. We suggest this should include a complete boycott of working with them in any capacity and declarations of them being no longer welcome at any left-wing events in any capacity, as well as vocal and rigorous condemnation. All of the above should extend most strongly to Kier Starmer and his cabinet as individuals. We condemn the frightening and disgusting rapid rush by the Labour Party and British government to attack various aspects of their own most vulnerable people, particularly in recent news, women who have suffered miscarriages and trans people in need of the toilet, in a rush to seemingly geopolitically align with Trumpist control of women's bodies and trans people's bodies, as well as the domestic rabble-rousing of far-right groups they intentionally give outsized platform to, even on British state media on the public pound. We condemn their moves to further and further marginalise and divide their own working class, who they leave to rot in Dickensian misery and deprivation, especially their own disabled and elderly. We condemn their moves to lock out the people they themselves, along with the other former colonial powers, have largely displaced into Great Britain, Ireland and broader Europe, who are merely following their own people's stolen wealth and sometimes end up living at the mercy of Britain's neighbours such as ourselves because of British foreign policy. We condemn the interference of the British establishment in Irish politics and Irish affairs, unreservedly, from the British bad actors fuelling the rise of the British-aligned far-right in Ireland, right up to their continued occupation of the North and Keir Starmer's own resistance to peaceful democratic reunification. We condemn the attacks on free speech and civil liberties within Great Britain and occupied Northern Ireland. We strongly condemn the continued harassment and arrest of peaceful protesters, both those protesting the ongoing genocide in Palestine that is partly facilitated by Britain itself, and all the other peaceful protesters Britain seeks to strip of their rights, abuse, harass and even charge on heavy horse. The British establishment is an enemy, first and foremost, of what it claims to be its own people. In this current state of affairs, we condemn the charging of Liam O'Hanna, aka Mocara, from the band Kneecap on terrorism charges over mere edgy, punkish stage displays that don't amount to a storm in a teacup, and is a complete farcical attack on their rights to free speech and expression. Whilst we welcome kneecap support of good relations between Protestant and Catholic communities in the North and share the same values of promoting the Irish language, we do not agree with some of their rhetoric, especially around drug use in a time when mental health issues and addiction is on the rise across the whole island. Even though we support full legalisation, we do not support glorification hedonism. We ourselves, as a peaceful organisation, do not profess to support any armed resistance groups, even if we understand the material conditions and brutal realities that led to and necessitated their founding in their own regions. Regardless of any of that, this is a gross crackdown on freedom of expression and liberty, because it is uncomfortable to the British establishment. The good they have done in and by this I mean kneecap, the good they have done in highlighting the ongoing genocide in Palestine, and for whatever we agree or disagree on, besides, they at least stand up and recognise it as a genocide, while others sit in silence or fill the air with empty promises. Art has a right to be controversial by nature, and any country that cracks down on artists cannot be free. We condemn the British silence and lack of condemnation of yesterday's attack by the IDF on diplomats, including 2 of our own Irish diplomats and some of their own British diplomats. A clear breach of international diplomatic law that would usually be taken as the most egregious act of war, let alone a mere diplomatic incident if it was any other regime but Israel, and shows a clear disregard for their own diplomats and the diplomatic relationship between them, us, and the other countries with diplomats present at the attack. We condemn the continued support for Zionism, a deeply anti-Semitic and genocidal ideology that from its outset has served to clear Jews out of Britain and make them tools of British and Western hegemony in the Middle East, with the cost borne, the blood, death and suffering by the native Semitic Palestinian people, be they Islamic, Christian or otherwise. We condemn their support for the genocidal and illegal modern state of Israel and the refusal of the British government to comply with ICJ arrest warrants, which we believe amounts to collusion to avert the course of international justice. We condemn their continued supply of equipment and weapons to the Israeli regime and their complicity in their crimes. We condemn the lack of a proper constitution and associated rights on behalf of the ordinary people of Great Britain and her various small occupied territories, including Northern Ireland, who are not our enemies by any means, but our neighbours as well as our brothers and sisters in humanity, to whom the British government and establishment is an enemy, exploiter and oppressor. We ask that any individuals or organisations who agree with this sentiment co-sign this statement of condemnation or pin their own in their own words. Regards, Roots.